All right, rolling along. Maybe it is turning into a saga between Syracuse and Purdue after last year's game. We'll see. It's only the third all-time meeting, but it does feel a little more dramatic heading into this year than in years past, with not a ton of history over the long haul between these two teams. We're looking forward to this game out in West Lafayette on Saturday night, 7:30. Listen over on TK, watch it on NBC, part of the new NBC Saturday night Big Ten package. And with that, we bring in our friend Tom Dienhart, who's covered Purdue for a long time and covers them now for On3. Tom, welcome in. And, man, everything seems to be setting up for what should be a pretty good game on Saturday night.
Yeah, maybe a pick-em. I think Vegas may have Syracuse given a point or two. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm sure both teams think they can win this game, right?
Yeah.
And Syracuse 2-0. Colgate, Western Michigan. I guess their defense has scored more points than they've given up, so the offense is rolling for Syracuse as well. And Purdue had a tough opening loss at home to Fresno State. Went on the road last week, overcame a lot of adversity with about a 5.5-hour weather delay. Found a way to beat the Hokies, so they're feeling better about themselves. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of good storylines, and I'm really eager to see how this thing unfolds Saturday night.
Yeah, it should be interesting, Tom. And you mentioned the start of the season for Purdue. You know, Fresno State, for people that don't know, Fresno State's been a pretty good team for a while. So to lose to them is, not necessarily shocking. But, you lose your opener at home like that. What did you make out of how, the Ryan Walters era started in that fashion?
It was disappointing. You're right. I mean, Fresno State, for anybody who follows college football, knows the history of the Bulldog program, started by Pat Hill. They still have a great coach in Jeff Tedford. And they got a really good quarterback, Mikey Keene, a transfer from UCF, a real good receiver. So, yeah, hats off to Fresno State. They found a way to answer Purdue's late score to win the ball game. And, Ryan Walters talked about overcoming adversity. And Purdue had plenty of it, beginning with that home loss to Fresno State. You worry about people starting to point fingers. You worry about if players are going to believe in what you're preaching. Then you go on the road. You have to endure that long weather delay. And if they found a way to overcome all that, and they had a lot of built-in excuses if they had lost in Blacksburg. So that's probably the biggest takeaway Ryan Walters had was he was really proud of his team, standing tall, answering the bell after getting punched in the nose multiple times, and won. And this is a critical September for Purdue. They got 5 games, 4 of them are at home. They want to go to a bowl game. Most people think they got to go 3-2 this month. They're 1-1. And they got Wisconsin next week on a Friday night, and they have Illinois. So you hate to call this a must-win for Purdue, but it may be a must-win for Purdue because when you get a chance, if you're bored, look at the rest of the Boilermakers schedule. It's very tough. Ohio State, Michigan, Iowa, and others. So it's a big game for the Boilermakers Saturday.
Yeah, they're all Big Ten the rest of the way, the final 9 after this week. So certainly, it ramps up for them. Tom, last week against Virginia Tech, you said, man, that's a game like that can kick you if you give that one away because you're up 17-0. Then there's, the giant long weather delay. The whole lead gets blown and you pull it out late. Like that feels like somehow pulling that game out of the fire could be one that has a chance to kickstart a team like this.
Yeah, that was the other part of the adversity I didn't talk about was blowing the 17-0 lead. They didn't buckle, or panic. You're right. And, boy, you hate to endure a delay like that and then come out of it not even getting a win. It's a long plane ride home, but Purdue found a way to win it. So, I don't think Virginia Tech's that good, I'll be honest with you. But still, anytime you're on the road and deal with those types of things is still, I think, a good stepping stone for a still developing program. And Purdue's a program, I think, expectations this year, 6-6, maybe 7-5. Just getting to a bowl, I think, would be considered a success by most of the fans here. So, yeah, just a whole different vibe in West Lafayette. I asked about last year's game. I was up there at the Dome last year. I've never seen anything like the end of that game. But obviously a new coaching staff, a lot of new players. There hasn't been a lot of focus on what went on up there in the JMA Wireless Dome, but plenty of fans have remembered it, and maybe if we're lucky enough, we'll get some more zaniness on Saturday night in Ross-Ade Stadium.
That went, we all know it, Tom. It went down to the wire. There's multiple penalties on Purdue down the stretch of the 15-yard variety, which meant Syracuse didn't have to do a whole ton on that game-winning touchdown drive. But you said it. It's a new coach in Ryan Walters. You got a new quarterback. Some guys are left. How much is, what happened last year, how much of that is factoring into this game on the Purdue side this year?
I'm not sure if much is. I think if the staff was the same, it would be. History doesn't really matter in sports. It's fun for us to talk about in the media, right? And try to build narratives around it. But I'm not sure if there's really a revenge factor. They're not conference foes. They don't see each other that often. So I guess my opinion is that what happened last year isn't going to be a real big factor, especially once that ball gets kicked off. Purdue's got a sense of urgency, like I said. And sure, they want some revenge. And again, like I said, they've got a lot to prove, and they've got a pretty good quarterback in the transfer Hudson Card. They got 4 transfers are starting on offense. Sorry, they got 3 transfers on offense, 4 on defense. They're starting. Ryan Walters hit the portal hard, brought in 19 transfers overall, and beginning with Hudson Card, they really had a big impact so far in this young season for Purdue.
Yeah, I want to get to Card here in the second as Tom Dienhart is our guest on 3 writer for Purdue. But how about Walters? Young guy, up-and-coming guy. We know what he did on the defensive side of the ball at Illinois last season. One of the best defenses in the country in whatever statistic you want to look at. How has this guy, made the transition? What have you made out of the head coach version of Ryan Walters this year?
Just a 180 from Jeff Brom as far as the personality goes, and just a general overall vibe, I think. A very young staff. I think the average age is 39 years old. Ryan Walters is 37 years old, going up against 62-year-old Dino Babers, who will be his dad. And that youthfulness of the staff, starting with Walters, really, they're almost like the players' peers. I mean, there's a real connection between the players and the staffers. I still think there's a respect there. You always worry you can't be the friend of player. I always think there has to be a respect and a fear factor between a coach and a player. I still think that's there. But again, it's just been a totally different vibe and atmosphere with the youthfulness of this staff, starting with Walters, and plus he's a defensive head coach. Purdue's not hired a head coach with a defensive background since 1982. It's the cradle of quarterbacks, offense. And I was surprised Purdue went this direction. I'll be honest with you. I thought they would hire a proven coach from the offensive side of the ball. Well, they zigged when everybody thought they were going to zag. Maybe that's a good thing. I will say this. The recruiting for Purdue's picked up, so I think we're seeing some of that youthfulness pay off when it comes to wooing some of this high school talent so far for Purdue, as far as these 2024 kids go.
Yeah, I say they may not have hired an offensive head coach, but Coach Walters did hire, a very specific vision, right, for his offensive staff. You see that Mike Leach, the Texas Tech, the air raid history where he's got Graham Harrell as his OC, another former Texas Tech quarterback, Seth Dagies, on the staff. Well, what kind of offense are they putting out there? You hear names like that, you think Texas Tech, you think shotgun and flinging the ball all over the place. How true are they to that, and how much are they melding that with the more northern Big Ten style of things?
It's been described to me as an air raid based offense. Graham Harrell's background, obviously, about Seth Dagie too, the tight ends coach, former Texas Tech quarterbacks. Graham Harrell actually coached with Mike Leach, too, up at Washington State. Mm-hmm. So it's air raid based, but that doesn't mean they're going to drop back and throw it 80 times a game. That's just sort of the base that they worked from. And I'll be honest with you, I think the straw that stirs the drink for the Purdue offense is their running back, Devin Mockabee, number 45. I don't think they got him going soon enough against Fresno State. They amped him up in Blacksburg, and he had a nice game, 95 yards rushing. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. If he's going, man, that really opens up that pass game. So don't be fooled by this air raid-based label. Purdue's going to obviously, like most offenses, take what defenses are giving them. And I think if it's an offense that has the ability to run and pass, the line still has something to prove. Not always real physical, especially in short yardage. They got better last week, but again, Purdue can throw it, but they also can run it with Devin Mockabee. And also keep your eye on number 3, Tyrone Tracy, the backup running back, who's a little bit more of a physical guy.
Yeah, we got a little taste of Mockabee in the Dome last year. He didn't have a great game in that one because Aiden O'Connell was just flinging it all over the place. He didn't need to in that game, Tom, as you know. We know O'Connell, what a great player he was, and now in the NFL. So big shoes for Hudson Card coming in from Texas to fill. What have you seen from this guy so far? Obviously, it's a big stage filling in for an NFL guy as he is.
Let me tell you what give you a sense of how quickly he's ensconced himself here. He got here in January, and he got voted the team captain in August, received more votes than any of the other captains. So he came in, put his head down, and went to work, and endeared himself to his teammates that quickly. And I've obviously spoken to him a lot, and he just comes off as just a good person, and the talent's there. He's a four-star kid from Austin, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of got caught in a numbers game down there with Arch Manning coming in and Quinn Ewers, but he can make the throws. And the thing about Hudson Card when you're watching his ability to move and improvise and make something out of nothing with his feet. He's a good athlete, and that's something Purdue didn't have with Aiden O'Connell. They're going to have design runs for Hudson Card. And, again, he can extend plays with his feet. He can feel pressure and buy time for himself. So, again, he's another weapon that has to be accounted for, not just with his ability to throw the football, which is good, but also for his ability to tuck and run it if need be, too.
Yeah, if O'Connell was running last year, that meant something went terribly wrong in the play. Yeah, that was not the design. And, we saw last year, it was a one-year transfer into the program, but my goodness, what a weapon he had in Charlie Jones. And Charlie had an unreal game in the Dome last season. He was flat out uncoverable by anybody. The tight end Payne Durham had a great game in the Dome. Both those guys are gone. Who's there now? Who's Card throwing the ball to this year?
A couple guys to watch. Number 4, Deion Burks. He had a nice game in the opener, but only had one catch last week. He's got to be there, Charlie Jones. People call him a freak. Fastest guy on the team, plus he's strong and explosive. They got to figure out a way to get him the ball, even if Syracuse is trying to take him away. Get him on jet sweeps. But again, he's a guy that's got to be involved because he can be a real big play guy. And you mentioned Payne Durham's gone. Keep your eye on number 88, Garrett Miller. He's a tight end. He was injured last year. Saw his first action since 2021 last week. And he's a better pro prospect than Payne Durham. I still think they're weaning him back slowly, but he's a guy that could be really special, I think. In his absence, there was another tight end named Max Clare who stepped up. So keep your eye again on the tight ends, Garrett Miller, Max Clare. Watch number 4, the wide receiver, Deion Burks.
It always feels like Purdue's got a tight end. They always got a tight end. Always got to keep an eye on a Purdue tight end, and the Orange will have to do that this week. All right, Tom, before I let you go, I want to know this. Like, these night games, these primetime games, it's still kind of a newish thing, right, to Purdue and the Big Ten in general in many ways, and now there's this new NBC Saturday night package of which this game will be a part. Have the Purdue fans embraced this and they'll have a Friday night game this upcoming week, or has there been resistance? Where are things at in West Lafayette on, like, the desire to go to games like this?
Well, I think all fans love night games. This gives them a chance to get tanked up all day, right?
That's a fact.
They don't like the noon games because their window to tailgate's smaller. So they know they love the night games. Friday night games, not so much. So I don't think many fan bases like Friday night games for a lot of different reasons. If you're traveling to the games, you may have to take the day off on Friday. But yeah, these Saturday night games, they love them. So it's a sellout. Should be a good atmosphere. So they'll be charged up. Purdue renovated stadium. They got a new tunnel called the Tiller Tunnel. They have a brand new south end zone they redeveloped. So it ought to be a pretty electric atmosphere.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Add in NBC, add in the primetime stuff. It should be a big show on Saturday night. All right, Tom. Great to spend some time with you here today. Enjoy the game this week, and thanks for hopping on.
Thank you very much.
That is Tom Dienhart, covers Purdue, does so very well for On 3. Great to talk to